We wire our homes with Ring doorbells, baby monitors, and constant live streams to feel secure. This modern digital panopticon is built on the assumption that recording every inch of our private spaces provides absolute oversight. But this relentless recording often captures fleeting, uncanny anomalies. A shadow darting across a frame or a strange noise on an audio feed is usually brushed off as a software glitch or a trick of the light. Take a recent video uploaded by a piano player in Brazil. While recording himself practicing chords, the reflection in his television shows a dark, motionless silhouette standing directly behind him. When he turns around, the room is entirely empty. Apple's live photo feature, which captures a second and a half of video around a still image, documented something similar. In a seemingly normal family photo, the brief video data reveals a pale white figure crawling rapidly on all fours before vanishing out of frame. Grounded, authoritative. These recording devices have inadvertently created an archive of the earliest, most subtle stage of paranormal activity, the observation phase. When faced with the impossible, the human mind searches for a familiar explanation. As unseen forces escalate their presence, victims often defend themselves psychologically by labeling these entities as the friendly spirits of deceased loved ones. During a live cooking stream on YouTube, a woman named Laura was interrupted by her dog pressing a pre-programmed talking button. The electronic voice declared, "Your mom is dead." At the exact second, a heavy kitchen cabinet directly behind Laura swung open on its own. Despite the terrifying timing and the physical manipulation of her home, Laura publicly concluded that her deceased mother was simply trying to make contact. A mother in California recorded a similar event where her infant daughter was playing on the floor. An invisible force yanked a toy completely out of the baby's hands, yet the mother rationalized the physical force as a protective visit from the child's great-grandmother. This sense of false security creates a profound vulnerability. Welcoming these anomalous events as family members allows hostile forces to root deeper into a physical space. Once an entity establishes a foothold, it moves from passive observation to active environmental manipulation, testing the victim's physical perimeter. The paranormal investigators at Mindseed TV encountered this shift in a remote Colorado cabin. They were investigating reports of strange activity occurring in the sub-zero darkness outside the home. This schematic shows the layout of the snowy bridge behind the property. The team discovered a trail of small, child-sized footprints in the snow that advanced halfway across the wooden bridge before terminating in empty space, with no returning tracks. Later that night, the team looked across the creek and saw a small, shadowy figure standing entirely motionless in the freezing cold, watching them. Manifestations like these occur at the boundaries of a property, allowing an entity to gauge a resident's psychological endurance while remaining just outside the interior walls. When an entity finally crosses the threshold into the interior of a home, the activity transitions into a physical assault. A UK-based homeowner named Lee documented this exact progression. Inside Lee's house, the activity moved from unexplained loud bangs to direct physical manipulation. One terrifying night vision recording captured a small teddy bear being levitated high into the air by a dense, smoke-like mass. Lee used an SLS camera, which projects an infrared grid to map human joints into digital stick figures. Scanning the dark bedroom, it captured a digital figure crawling onto the mattress, leaning over Lee's sleeping body before violently smashing his bedside table. Once the inner sanctum is breached, the entity drops its passive facade. It initiates direct, violent psychological warfare in the place where the victim is most vulnerable. The final stage of this life cycle is the revelation that the victim has been the subject of a total deception. For 11 years, a widower in Tennessee experienced subtle, inexplicable movements throughout his house. He convinced himself it was the spirit of his deceased wife coming back to visit. That belief ended when his Ring camera captured a pale white figure manifesting and violently hurling a heavy wooden chair across the kitchen floor. The situation culminated in his hallway. While investigating a noise, the widower felt a physical hand press firmly against his back, while a chorus of multiple desperate voices whispered to him in the dark. The Tennessee widower spent a decade living with a legion of hostile entities that had successfully mirrored his wife's identity to remain in his home. What happens to a location when it is entirely surrendered to this escalating attachment? Japan's massive Shinshu-Kanko Hotel provides a macro-scale example. Once a sprawling resort, the abandoned maze-like structure is now completely overrun by unseen forces. The property has caused physical and financial ruin to 3 separate demolition companies. One site manager vanished without explanation, while others were physically pushed down staircases. When the team Zozozo explored the ruins, their cameras captured phantom figures standing silently in doorways. These entities appeared completely unbothered by the investigators walking past them, no longer needing to hide. The ubiquitous cameras in our homes have documented our complete vulnerability. What begins as a subtle trick of the light, or a familiar voice, inevitably mutates, isolates, and violently consumes.